Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to talk about our next poem, A Time for Everything. Students, the poem, as you have seen in the title or just after the title, has no name of any specific poet. Here it is written Ecclesiastes. It means that the poem is actually taken from the third chapter of the book of Ecclesiastes, that is part of the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament of Christian Bible. And as far as the source or the origin of the poem, it goes to the King Solomon according to the Bible source. And the first part of this chapter, verse 1 to 8, as one of the world's earlier and best known poems. Not only this poem is considered to the world's earlier or best known poems, another remarkable quality of the poem is that it's written by King Solomon, as the reference indicates. So the author of the poem is said to have been given wisdom greater than anyone before him, and greater than anyone who would come after him, a king of great sagacity and wisdom. Let's have a look at the ideas or the content of the poem. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. The poem begins by reassuring the readers and hearers that there is a time for everything, that allows the audience to understand that whatever circumstances they have found themselves in, it is not by chance, it is not uncommon, it is already planned. And the great planner God has deliberately set those things in the way in which we are facing, although we feel that it is just chance or happening. Time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot. The speaker begins to list all the events in life that have a specific time and place. He begins with birth. Every person is appointed as time at a time to be born and a time to die. This is comforting to readers because it is clear that birth and death are not merely happenstance or mere by chance happenings. The second part of this verse correlates with the first part that we have just read. The plant stands for itself, and it may also symbolize human life. Just as there is time to be born and time to die, similarly, there is time to plant the flowers and seeds, and similarly, there is specific time to harvest that seed that has been planted. The harvest is death to the plant. The symbolism also offers comfort to those in the face of death. The time of harvest is a time of happiness and feasting. This line gives the audience hope by comparing death to harvest. So the poet is not only conveying the harsh facts but also communicating the parallel side of happiness. Time to kill and time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build. Yes, the other ideas. Poet is giving the ideas in a series of parallels. The similar technique was adopted by the famous poet John Keats, who juxtaposes the different realities of life. Here, have a look. This verse reveals that there is a time for everything, even a time to kill. Readers are not told whether the speaker is talking about killing some human life as it is as a part of punishment for murder, as it has been indicated in Bible, eye for eye, or he is just going to kill some animal for food or for the sake of pleasure. The second part of the verse reveals that there is a time for breaking down old things or old buildings and a time for building up new ones. These buildings can also symbolize life. Just as the human body fall down and deteriorates or destroys and eventually dies, so buildings can also destroy and fall down. A new building going up can represent a new life and being born. Here again, the building can be a symbol for life, and it can stand for the building of or construction of new things as well. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. This is a verse that everyone can identify with because every human has laughed and cried at some point or another in his lifetime. This verse allows the readers to feel that it's okay to weep when the situation calls for tears, and that it is good to laugh, to feel joyful at certain times in life. There is also time to mourn and a time to celebrate with dancing. The juxtaposition of such things as weeping and mourning with laughing and dancing allow the readers to grasp the vast diversity of human experience in such a few short words. Yes, two entirely different emotions. The one is the happiness, and the other is the sadness or regression. Time to mourn and time to dance are given in the same strain or presented in the same line by the poet. It means the poet is highlighting the diverse experience or multiple experiences of human life in a realistic way. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. Here, the speaker or the poet or the writer continues to use the practical aspect of life along with the abstract. Abstract stands for the ideas, and practical stands for the things that we practically do. He talks about gardens and buildings, birth and death, sadness and joy, and in this way the speaker brings together the physical and the spiritual together in the poem, and the emotional feelings to allow the audience to grasp the underlying meaning of all of them and to understand that there is meaning and order behind every occurrence. Even the mm, even the small activity of casting away thrones and gathering stones can also be associated, or it can be associated symbolically some other human activity that stands for wasting time and regretting over it and trying to rebuild or trying to reconstruct what has been lost previously. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Yes, in the second part of the verse, the speaker says that although there is time to show joy and a time to show sadness, there is also time to mask emotion. Mask emotions mean to conceal emotions, to hide emotions. This suggests that there are times in which to show emotions and times in which to conceal emotions or be silent about the emotions. This shows that there is a time to be free with emotions, but there is also a time to keep emotions under control. A time to seek and a time to lose. A shift in tone here, and this is the tone of the poet, the way in which he is talking to the audience, to occur with this verse as the speaker veers away from the abstract and back to the physical. This verse allows the reader to imagine having lost something. While there is a time to look for it, there is also a time to give up and realize that it's gone. Whatever has happened, and to accept the reality or the loss of life. And it is the greatest lesson that we get from the poem. This verse could also symbolize the loss of emotion, the loss of people, the loss of understanding. While there is a time and place to seek the things that are lost, there is also a time to be at peace with loss that has occurred in life. A time to keep and a time to cast away. So, here in the second verse, again correlates or relates with the first one. The reader first pictures the physical thing that has been lost, and the human feeling of satisfaction that is desired or that should be there even at the side of loss. There is a time to keep things, but there is also time to throw things away. This can also be said of ideas, of feelings, and even for people. There is a time to keep physical objects, and there is a time to keep ideas. There is a time to keep friends. There is also a time to get rid of the things and objects that we have got in life. There is a time to give up an idea or a thinking that has been a constant source of trouble for us. There is even a time to end even friendship. A time to tear and a time to sue. The verse is another this verse is another verse that draws the reader's attention to the physical work or activity. The reader can imagine someone sewing a garment or a cloth when it can be reused and it is needed or required. The speaker also claims that there is a time to tear. The reader can understand that there is a time when a garment is no longer of any use, or it should be rejected and should be torn up and used as rags. This verse, however, like many other verses before it, can also symbolize the abstract idea. There is a time to break off friendship, and a time to mend it or to repair it, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Yes, another very important thing. This verse again reveals a universal fact or truth. Universal fact means an idea that can be related with facts which is acceptable to all times, all ages, and to all the human beings. So this universal fact is that every person has experienced. There is a time to speak out your mind, and a time in which it is best to keep silence. Readers can identify with this because most of us, if not all people, have said something they regret, and something and about saying which they feel they should not have done it, and wish they could go back and choose to remain silent. In the same way, most, if not all, people have remained silent in a time they should have spoken up. This verse again reveals that all people have experienced this at one time or at another. It also reveals that a person with wisdom will be able to decipher between the moments in which to remain silent and the situation in which to speak up, a time to love and a time to hate. This verse reveals that not all hatred is wrong. Although many people who hold the Bible to be true will claim that it is all about love, this verse reveals that there is also time and place for hate. Many have referred to this as righteous indignation or right sort of hatred, or the feeling that comes over upright when people see a wrong thing happening. This verse suggests that there is a time and place for both love and hatred, or love and hatred both are part of life. Both are normal human emotions, and there is place of both these emotions in our life. A time for war and a time for peace. Again, this verse is related to the earlier one. Whenever there is feeling of hatred, there may be war. So, this part reveals that there is even a time for war. Although war and all of its horrors should be avoided, this verse reveals that there are times when it simply cannot be avoided. Although we know that wars have often been over such things as freedom, humanity, sometimes even money. We also know that war often begins with the righteous indignation or right sort of hatred, where one party feels that they have been injured or they have been right and the other ones have been wrong or evil. So, the last phrase of the poem states that there is a time for peace to continue. This leaves the reader with a sense of peace. That is the effect of the poem in this on its entirety. Although there is a time for everything, the poem ends in peace and gives the readers a message of calmness, peace, and the ability to understand that in all the circumstances in life, there is some providence or there is some logic that has been adopted by God, and even if we understand or even if we know or not, do not we know it or we do not know it, we have to accept it open heartedly. Okay, the students, if we have a look at the poem, its structure, it's a simple and short poem. The language is very simple and easily understandable. As far as the ideas or the content or subject matter is concerned, the poem has universal appeal in terms of ideas being communicated. Universal appeal means all the feelings, all the emotions, or all the ideas that are expressed in the poem is immediately or instantly accepted by all of us. The poet has shared our feelings, and actually what he has done here is he has presented the general human feelings or emotions in a highly suitable way. What he has said is applicable to all the times, all the ages, all the places, and to all the human beings. The language or the diction of the poem is very simple, and the development of thought is very clear. Highly philosophical ideas of life have been communicated in very simple or straightforward way. Effect is light, reader minds is relaxed, even if he is facing the harsh facts or disturbing facts of life and the deep philosophy of life. Still, he feels no burden, he rather feels relaxed. Okay, students, let's have a look at the poem from another angle. We feel some literary analogies. When the poem starts with the words that everything is planned by God and nothing happens instantly, we remind Shakespeare's Hamlet saying, "There is providence in the fall of sparrow," and other things that we attach with the ideas being communicated in the poem is the Keats idea of impermanence of joy, beauty, and happiness, and final acceptance of the facts that both of these that all of these things are part of life. Similarly, Keats' technique of juxtaposing alternates is very much similar to this the technique of this poem. He juxtaposes different elements in his ode to autumn and in ode to Gratianer in the similar way. And again, we get Browning's serene submission to life as it is, and a hope that is interested by Robert Browning in God and his logic and wisdom and his planning in in the creation of this universe and its happening is asserted in this poem. Okay, students, now come to the activity. You have to explain stanza number 3 and 4 in your notebooks and prepare all the questions given in exercise. And either they are MCQs or the short questions or some other grammatical questions. And as usual, you have to prepare the next 5 pair of words. Okay, it's over for today's lecture. Thank you.